After a hard-fought 7-game series where the Wolves triumphed over the defending champion Denver Nuggets, a lot of folks had them going all the way. They even treated that second-round series as the de facto conference finals. But when they arrived to the actual conference finals, it was as if the Dallas Mavericks were supposed to be a cakewalk. They took down the defending champs, so this should be easy, right? The complete lack of urgency was alarming, as they lost the first 2 games on their home court and eventually got dismantled in a series that wasn't expected to be this lopsided. So what exactly went wrong? What did the Mavs do that the Denver Nuggets struggled so much to accomplish? How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a detailed look at everything that went wrong with the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that looked like a legitimate contender before they fell apart. It's the offense, not the defense. A huge storyline that's been regurgitated across the media has been about Rudy Gobert. Specifically, the doubters who question his ability as a defender. Against the Nuggets, it was Cat who had to take over the responsibility of guarding Jokic, while Gobert struggled against him. Then, against Dallas, the critics got even louder. We heard guys like Draymond and Shaq constantly bash Gobert, as if he's the reason the Wolves got decimated. I've never seen a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year get this much flack, especially since he shifted most of the blame away from Edwards and Towns. By the on-off numbers, Gobert is still the most impactful defender on the floor, but the 2 guys who were supposed to carry the offense were severely struggling to do so, especially in the first 3 games of the series.
Gobert with the offensive rebound here. Towns. And out of bounds and up.
Keep in mind, from the All-Star break until the end of the regular season, it was Dallas, not Minnesota, who recorded the NBA's best defense. The Wolves have always been an average offensive team for the entire year. For Edwards, fatigue was a huge issue. In the first couple games, he looked absolutely gassed by the fourth quarter. That's because prior to the start of the series, Edwards boldly claimed, "I got Kyrie," to which Kyrie took it as a challenge. He spent most of the first 2 or 3 games guarding him, to the point where he had 0 energy left to close out the game. In Edwards' first 2 games, when the Wolves were supposed to defend home court, he laid an egg both times, as he was not used to the way the Mavs were guarding him so high up. This is the main number to pay attention to: his percentage within 5 feet of the basket. Against Denver, he shot a ridiculous 74% from that range. He made 37 of 50 attempts in that series, which is honestly ridiculous. Against Dallas, though, that has plummeted. This was Edwards' most impactful scoring spot. He feasted against the Nuggets' interior defense. As expected, when you have Jokic down there who doesn't even contest most of the drives. Their lack of a true rim protector and backup center made it worse. The Nuggets simply had no shot-blocking presence. Against Dallas, however, the combination of Gafford and Lively provide the Mavs with 2 young dynamic centers who are long, athletic, fast. They can step out and guard for short periods of time. A play like this, for example. Even after getting a screen from Gobert, Washington's length allows him to get back into the play easily. You combine that with Gafford willingly stepping out to stop his drive, Edwards is stuck. Due to Gafford's speed, he can fade back to the paint to stop a lob to Gobert, eliminating all of Edwards' options. As a final resort, Edwards shoots a highly contested layup. You saw this the entire series. The Mavs' second line of defense is far more resilient than the Nuggets.
Hard move and a kick, and he threw it away.
In his first 2 series against Phoenix and Denver, Edwards averaged nearly 30 points a game on absurd percentages, a result of his ability to penetrate the paint at will. The Mavs took away this part of his game, the part where he thrives the most, because they have the personnel to do so. Karl Anthony Towns was having the greatest playoff run of his entire career, up until he faced the Dallas Mavericks. While the Mavs' length and size have also bothered him, Cat has always been a streaky shooter. Even with shots like these, he was hitting them back in Denver. But against Dallas, he had a historically bad series in terms of three-point shooting, especially in his first 3 games and Game 5, where he went a combined 4 for 28. The Mavs' length bothered him. They closed out on him a lot better. Perhaps the pressure got to him. He rushed shots that he normally feels comfortable shooting. In a previous video, I talked about how the Oklahoma City Thunder struggle to score in the paint against Dallas, and it's a similar trend with the Wolves. In the playoffs, Dallas has held opponents to just 58% shooting in the restricted area, basically at the basket, and just 41% in the paint overall. Their dominance in the paint have made it tough for any of the Wolves to hit what most would say are the most efficient shots in basketball. It also doesn't help when your secondary star has nights where he shoots the lights out, but other nights where he completely vanishes. That's why Cat has never made the jump from star to superstar. His consistency just isn't there. Luka and Kyrie. Here's a popular quote that's been recited through the decades of NBA history, from the players and media alike. When you have the best player on the floor, you'll always have a chance. For the Mavs, you could argue that they had the 2 best players on the court. Luka is the clear-cut best player, but Kyrie, he can elevate his game to a level that few players could match. Now, the Mavs' heliocentric offense is somewhat similar to the old Cleveland Cavaliers offense, centered around LeBron and Kyrie. You have 2 ball-dominant guards who are some of the greatest one-on-one players the NBA has ever seen. When combined with a supporting cast that complements their games, this is a formula to win championships. But what's different compared to the Cavs is the Mavs' utilization of their supporting cast. They put their bigs in way more actions in the pick and roll, double screens out top, like these plays right here. Their role players are active in helping both Luka and Kyrie create an advantage in some way, whether it's getting them open for a good shot or getting open themselves for a pinpoint pass to rush towards the rim. With their elite shot creation and playmaking, made the NBA's #1 defense look like they were amateurs. And this is what separates the Mavs from the Nuggets. The Nuggets' best playmaker, best passer, and best shot creator is their center, who's at his best when playing close to the basket. On the perimeter, unfortunately, they don't have anyone who comes close to the playmaking ability of Luka or Kyrie. Jamal Murray is, he's good, but he's just not on the same level. With his average handles and mediocre court vision, he's the reason the Nuggets had such a hard time setting up their offense. More often than not, he'd burn off way too much of the shot clock before even initiating a play. In fact, the way Murray plays, the type of shots he takes, it's more akin to a shooting guard of the 2000s. The Nuggets' actual shooting guard and small forward are 2 players who are awful at creating their own shots, hence why they struggled so much against the Wolves. Michael Porter Jr. in particular, he looked like he couldn't even dribble properly with the insane defensive pressure. Elite perimeter defense like the Wolves beat down players with mediocre handles, and the Nuggets have plenty of players who got beat down. Heck, that's why Peyton Watson was unplayable. Oh, and that's another thing. The Mavs actually have a backup center, multiple backup centers, so they aren't at a size disadvantage. The Nuggets don't trust DeAndre Jordan enough to play him, so they either play Jokic the entire game to the point of exhaustion, or they play the undersized Aaron Gordon at center. It's not a plan that works against 2 7-footers. This Nuggets team was missing depth, which brings us to... This is something both the Wolves and Mavs excel in. People say depth doesn't matter much in the playoffs because you're playing your starters most of the time anyway. But that doesn't mean depth is useless either. It's important because it gives a team more options to counter the opponent. While the Wolves are equipped with the 6th man of the year and routinely went 8 or 9 deep, the Mavs are also not shy to play their bench. It's funny because Jason Kidd got criticized so much through his time in Dallas, usually pertaining to his wacky lineups. His big men rotations were strange, as it took a while for him to give Gafford real minutes. Sometimes he'd give Josh Green too many minutes. Other times, he forgets he even exists. Dante Exum would have strings of playing 30-plus minutes and then completely fall out of the rotation. And don't forget his everlasting love for Tim Hardaway Jr., who, for some inexplicable reason, got so many minutes in the regular season year after year. Kidd's rotations have always been perplexing, but according to him, he likes to experiment. Because of all his experimentation, he has a deep roster filled with players who are ready at any given notice. It doesn't matter if their minutes are inconsistent. They're used to this already. I will say, despite the critics, Kidd is not a bad coach. He always had a great relationship with his players, and unlike other coaches, he's not shy when it comes to trying something new. Heck, I don't think anyone expected Jaden Hardy to play against the Wolves. You're throwing a 21-year-old into the fire against this insane perimeter defense? Oh, hell yeah. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, it was a successful season nonetheless. This was a team that only made the conference finals twice in over 30 years of existence, a team that didn't have much expectations coming into the season. So to make it this far, that's a huge accomplishment. I feel like some folks truly had them going all the way after defeating Denver, but they matched up far better against them than Dallas. And unlike other eras of Minnesota basketball, this time there seems to be continuity. They will be back, and better than ever. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts on the Wolves season, and what can they do to make their team better. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.